Hi, welcome to the Local Wealth Professionals YouTube channel. Today, we're going to talk about bail-in bonds. Okay, so what is a bail-in bond? It's a debt instrument issued by a bank. It pays interest like any other bond. It's backed by the bank. Okay, so far so good. But this is where it gets messy. It's banked differently from other bank debt. Conventional bank debentures fit well ahead of preferred shares in the corporate structure. Bail-in bonds fit in after preferred shares, just ahead of common equity. That's significantly further down the corporate ladder. If the bank becomes undercapitalized, resulting in failure of common stock, the bail-in bonds will convert to the new common stock in the reorganized corporation that emerges at a price to be determined at that time. This means that a bail-in bond has many of the characteristics of a stock in that it's at risk. If you understand this when you buy one of these debentures and you get fairly paid for the risk you're taking, no problem. But if you buy one of these debentures thinking you have a safe investment similar to a traditional bond, that might not be so good. How did these things come to be created? Let's go back to 2008 and the financial crisis for a second. In that financial crisis, many huge financial institutions failed because they succumbed to the basic greed and pushed aside prudent management and ignoring the risk they were taking in pursuit of profit. As we all know, that had dire consequences. Bear Stearns failed, as did Countrywide, Merrill Lynch, and a collection of other major financial institutions worldwide. Funny videos popped up attempting to explain what happened. A collection of even bigger financial institutions were deemed by the Federal Reserve Board to be too big to fail and were welcomed into a taxpayer-funded bailout club. Citibank, Bank of America, Morgan Stanley, and Goldman Sachs enjoyed this protection and were assisted generously in rebuilding with the same management teams in place as caused the disaster in the first place. Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae, the issuers of mortgages, were taken over by the U.S. government and put into a conservatorship of government-sponsored enterprises. Bottom line is, it's owned by the government. In Britain, Royal Bank of Scotland sold 82% of its shares to the British government for $42 billion, which was the way they got bailed out. Okay, well, so what? Well, the bottom line is that as long as you know what you want to own and you get what you expected and it's fairly priced, all's good. So what's the problem? Well, first of all, let's look at the terms being used. These are called bail-in bonds. Well, firstly, they're not bonds, they're debentures. The difference here is that a debenture is only as good as the creditworthiness of the company that issues it. A bond is backed by assets, like government bonds, which are backed by the power of taxation. So the issue here is that you may think you're getting a bank bond with the same backing as the one you bought before. That would be incorrect. Banks don't issue bonds. You will be getting a lower grade bank debenture than the debenture you bought before. That means that you should be paying a lower price for it too than you would for conventional bank debentures to reflect the fairly the added risk. Two of these new style debentures were issued in 2018. Not very many people probably noticed. The first one was issued by RBC and more recently a second one by CIBC. Well, so how do we know that these bail-in bonds were not fairly priced? Well, for a start, both issuances were purchased 100% by retail clients. In other words, there was no institutional interest at all, which means institutional investors didn't like the pricing. That's a pretty important hit. Well, not to worry. At some point, the market will recognize the difference, and the two classes of bonds will be priced differently to reflect the comparable risks. Once that happens, these bonds will have found their rightful place in the market. So what should an investor do now if presented with the opportunity to buy one of these new debentures? Well, maybe the smart thing to do at this point might be to avoid them and just see how they do in the market first. But remember, we can't advise you on that because we do not give investment advice at Local Wealth Professionals. As you know, all our videos and articles are created for your entertainment and to educate you on relevant investment topics. So please don't act on any of the information you see in any of our materials without first discussing your intentions with a competent investment professional. Of course, if you need to find such a professional, please go to the postal code locator on our website, www.localwealthprofessionals.com, to find one. We hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please subscribe to the Local Wealth Professionals channel on YouTube. Thanks for listening, and until next time.